Hello my friends, this is Regular Slasher and thank you for watching my videos as usual. Yeah. Yes, as you can see, I am in another location because I am taking my quarantine sessions. Hopefully 2 weeks isn't too long. I thought that 1 or 2 weeks or a couple of weeks is just fine for me to do that. Before making this video, life came in the way, so I have to do that. My obligations outside swordsmanship. For those people who are too bored to do something during quarantine, what I like to do is I haven't polished my sword for a very long time, so I'm going to have to resort to some elbow grease just so that it won't get rusted anytime soon. And I hope I'm doing the right thing with some metal polish and some elbow grease, and I hope I could get this done, and patience too, and all that. While I'm doing that, allow me to share to you my thoughts about the things that you need to think, or the mental foundation that you need to have in order to begin your swordsmanship journey, as people would like to say. This is because there are too much information that's going about in the internet, and resorting to not being able to begin or to select which part is good for you and whatnot. So I hope this information will help you as your guide. And this is not going to be just literal information to do this or to do that, and if you do this, it's like a formula, but I don't think it works that way. But for those people who are serious about joining the swordsmanship journey, it's not like follow your teacher, do this, do that, and then call it a day. It's about looking for yourself, for your strengths and weaknesses, and then working upon that. It sounds corny, but I assure you it's not. More so if we reach about our 40s or 50s, or you don't want to become a man-child forever. So I hope what I'm going to offer you is going to help. And without further delay, allow me to give you 2 universal truths before you even join the swordsmanship journey. Yeah. Number 1, relatives and friends are the most abusive animals on the planet Earth. Why did I have the balls to say this? Number 1 biggest reason of which is personal experience. Yeah. So among those, let me select which one is appropriate. And that I used to join the Aikido classes, right? So I spent about 3.5 good years of my life joining in an Aikido school, hoping that I could learn something from it. In fact, I did, but that doesn't mean that you need to stick by it. Before I'm going in circles, my mistake was that I did not really have a clue on what do I want to get from it. So what ends me up is that I ended up going there just, get the lessons, this and all that, all the movements, adapt make those movements as applicable as possible, and then leave the dojo, then call it a day. By the way, I've done this for about 3.5 years, 2 to 3 times a week. Even if I have to live in a cardboard box, I'd be studying Aikido for the rest of my life, but apparently it didn't work that way, you know. I made some friends apart from my grade school and high school friends and family and relatives. Let me get to the point why family, relatives, and friends are the most abusive animals on planet Earth. Let me get to that point real quick. It's because the moment you do something different, the herd or the people belonging to such a herd that they think that you are also doing, at best, they will just feel surprised. And then from that feeling of surprise, it progresses to a feeling of jealousy or hatred, simply because you are doing something different from what they are doing, that they expect you to do the same things that they do. Alright? Pretty much complicated, but let me just give you an example. If your group or if your herd is a gamer, and then you decided to do skating or whatnot, of course, you will hear lines such as, oh man, you're pretty much isolating us from your path now. Or, hey man, you begin to forget us. What about us? How come you're not hanging out to your gaming sessions tonight? You're so others. I mean, the moment that you hear those words that they're trying to guilt trip you because apparently you try to alienate yourself from them, I consider that a red flag, because it's guilt tripping tool. Alright? And in my book, the moment that a set of people that you used to hang out with begin to use that guilt trip against you, consider that as a red flag, alright? Because let me tell you something, that if a relative or a friend really stands by you, he or she is going to accept you no matter what. At best, if that relative or family or friend is going to be true to you, he or she is going to understand over time that, you know, at the end of the day, the only thing that you have is yourself. And I think that this person, that means you, are going to have a break of your life, of your career or whatnot, and then they are happy to you and they are happy for you in the end. Alright? So whenever these so-called relatives or friends or family that don't really give a shit about you, it's time for you to reassess. And you know what, the moment that you receive so many hate, it's simply because you're doing the right thing or you've done something right. Alright? So I hope you remember that, and armed with that information, it's going to aid you for the rest of the journey. And oh yes, back to that Aikido school that they used to attend, and the moment that they discovered that they speak Japanese, it's because some of the Japanese guests come to our country and then teach for a few good days, and then I begin conversing with them in Japanese. ちなみにですけど、信じてくれないかもしれないんだけども、まあ、それも構いません。I don't really care if you don't believe me, but anyways, the moment I spoke a Japanese word, I heard from a senpai or even my sensei some sarcastic shit. What are those sarcastic shit? they began to act like donkeys, you know, trying to make it look grotesque, whatever things that you said, like whenever you say something, blah blah blah, and they're like, blah, 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 trying to mock you in a way that, and that's the time I got the message. So the week after that, I didn't come back to the dojo anymore because I saw the red flag. Right? So some of those people in the Aikido club try to weasel their way into my graces, but I don't think it's going to happen for a very long time. Or although I'm not burning some bridges, it's usually the other way around. But let's face the reality. The second universal truth before embarking on a swordsmanship journey is this: if you are afraid of being alone, you will always be with the wrong crowd. Let me repeat that. If you are afraid of being alone, you will always be with the wrong crowd. What's that supposed to mean? What they mean is that as long as you don't have your own goal, your personal goal, you are still codependent, you are still dependent from others for approval. It means that you won't have your own backbone. Believe me, I've met so many man-children in my entire life as same age as I am, and they're still man-child, man-children, or cornballs and whatnot, really dependent from their mother or the girlfriends of their wives. And I believe that's not a good thing, right? Because you didn't have the chance, or you didn't give yourself permission to make decisions for yourself, such as that, and you let others do the thinking for you. Alright, so that's one gist that I have to offer you. And number two is that it's because you're afraid of being alone. You always want your friends around you. Like, you give in to such pressure, or to some people that the same fake friends are mocking at you because, oh, you're always alone in the coffee shop. How come you don't have friends? And they use that as leverage against you, into pressuring that you should be hanging out with other people. You should be seen hanging out with other people, rather. Because you're simply afraid of being alone and you don't want any more. You don't want to hear bad words from your friends, your so-called friends. It's probably because you don't have the skill to think for yourself, alright? So you're probably thinking, like, oh, why in the world? Why do they have the balls to say this? No man is an island. Well, that's not my point. If you say that no man is an island, it's a form of peer pressure. You know that at least a day a week, you need to have some me time. Every psychologist will tell you that, alright? It's like blowing off steam, so to speak, alright? So whenever people try to tell you that no man is an island and you need to hang out sometime, come on, you need to have some me time this time. In order for you to recollect yourself, getting to know yourself, because whenever you go out in the world, you are armed, you know? Yes, I cannot repeat this enough, that once in a while you need to have some me time, the purpose of which is that you need to, however once in a while you need to recollect yourself, you need to get some more information about yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses, and all that, so that the next time you get out into the world, you become better and stronger and wiser than before. And you know what, as I've said a while ago, if people are pressuring you, like they say some words that add pressure, like no man is an island, you don't have to believe right away, alright? So every psychologist in the world will tell you that you need to have some me time in order for getting to know your own company, and who knows, you might love your own company. And for you to take on the world as an informed with an informed decision in order to deal with the people in the world better, not just going blind, just because you're friends, and just because you're friends and you've been hanging out since you were 3 years old, and you have to do this because if you won't do that, people will already hate you. I think that's a lame form of peer pressure, but nonetheless, it's lame, alright? So in order for you to not break into such a pattern, I suggest that you start liking your own company, and then going back to the second universal truth, that if you are still being afraid of being alone, you will always be with the wrong crowd. I cannot repeat this enough. If you are still afraid of being alone, you will always be with the wrong crowd. Yeah. That's it, my friends. And if you like what you just saw, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And especially if you click the notification bell, you'll be the very first person to know that they have uploaded another content that could possibly help you and your friends in the future. Yeah. This is Regular Slasher signing off. Thank you, much love, and どうもありがとうございました。Yeah. And cut!